Zelensky is being blamed for worsening the global oil crisis amid the growing Hormuz chokehold, as fresh geopolitical shocks continue to rattle energy markets. As the Iran war drags on, Ukraine is also being said to add to the world's oil supply woes, putting even more pressure on already strained global flows. Ukraine, however, refuses to focus on the world's oil pain and instead says its priority remains hurting Putin, even if the wider energy fallout continues. Ukraine claimed on May 5 that it carried out an attack on the Kirishi oil refinery, adding a new layer of pressure to Russia's already strained energy sector. The Kirishi oil refinery is one of Russia's top refineries by volume, according to reports, making it a strategically important target in the country's fuel network. The Kirishi refinery halted processing on May 5 after Ukrainian strikes damaged it, according to reporting that pointed to serious disruption at the facility. Two sources told Reuters that 3 of the 4 crude distillation units were damaged, suggesting the attack may have hit a large share of its core processing capacity. Several auxiliary units were also struck, and officials are still unsure how long repairs will take, which raises fresh concerns about continued fuel shortages. The Kirishi facility has an annual processing capacity of 20 to 21 million tons of crude oil, underscoring its importance in Russia's broader energy system. The refinery also produces more than 6% of Russia's total refined oil, according to reports, making the damage potentially significant for domestic supply. Meanwhile, global oil prices are already skyrocketing because of the Iran war, adding even more strain to an unstable energy market. Dual Iranian and US blockades have also halted commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, intensifying fears of a deeper global supply shock. Amid soaring tensions with Iran, Donald Trump's top diplomat has dropped a political bombshell in Washington, confirming a major shift in the U.S. war strategy. From the White House podium, Secretary of State Marco Rubio declared victory and announced that Operation Epic Fury is officially over, as attention now swings to Project Freedom. Rubio said the Iran campaign has entered what he called a new phase, with Washington pivoting from full-scale strikes to a mission focused on securing the Strait of Hormuz. He insisted that Project Freedom is now the centerpiece of U.S. policy in the Gulf, aimed at protecting commercial shipping and keeping one of the world's most vital choke points open.
Operation Epic Fury is concluded. We achieved the objectives of that operation. I'm not going to, we're not cheering for an additional situation to occur. We would prefer the path of peace. What the president would prefer is a deal. He would prefer to sit down, work out a memorandum of understanding for future negotiations that touches on all the key topics that have to be addressed, a full opening of the strait so the world can get back to normal. He preferred that be negotiated through the route that Steve and Jared have been working and that all of us have been supporting. That's the route he prefers. That is so far not the route that Iran has chosen. And so the result has been that the United States has to do something about the fact that we're the only nation on earth that can do anything to open up a lane within the Straits of Hormuz to get product and to rescue these people that are trapped in there. And that's what we're undergoing now. What that may lead to in the future is speculative. I'm not going to speculate about what it would take or what it would do. But look, the message to Iran, these guys are facing, they are facing real catastrophic destruction to their economy, generational destruction to their economy, generational destruction to the wealth of their country, imposed on themselves by the actions that they're taking. They should check themselves before they wreck themselves in the direction that they're going.
Meanwhile, the U.S. president said he was halting Project Freedom just a day after its launch, raising fresh doubts about the mission's purpose and durability. The U.S. had launched Project Freedom to guide ships through the Strait of Hormuz amid the Iranian blockade, presenting it as a rapid response to a growing maritime crisis. On the first day of the mission, Iran allegedly bombed Fujairah in the UAE and multiple cargo ships, sharply escalating tensions and putting pressure on Washington to respond. Ukraine's Flamingo missiles struck a Russian military production facility in Cheboksary, according to reports, adding another major hit to Russia's defense infrastructure. Details of the Cheboksary attack were reported by the Kyiv Independent on May 6, bringing fresh attention to the scale of the strike. Ukraine's president called it part of a large-scale missile and drone attack, suggesting the operation was wider than a single target. Locals posted photos and videos showing a large fire at the institute that makes weapons parts, offering visual evidence of the damage. Zelensky said, and I quote, "Our long-range sanctions continue to provide an entirely just response to Russian strikes." Last night, combat launches of F-5 Flamingo cruise missiles were carried out as part of the armed forces' deep strike operation against several enemy targets, including military-industrial complex facilities in Cheboksary. The Ukrainian Flamingos covered a distance of more than 1,500 kilometers. The military production facility that was targeted produced relay protection systems, automation systems, and low-voltage equipment. The plant supplied navigation components for the Russian Navy, the missile industry, aviation, and armored vehicles. Everything that the Russians are using in the war against us, against Ukraine. Russia must end its war and turn to real diplomacy. We have made our proposal clear. Glory to Ukraine. Russian media reported that the attack killed 2 people and injured more than 30 others, underscoring the severity of the strike and its human toll.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.